Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Sitting here Sunday morning, and it's a home run hire from Marcus Freeman in this Notre Dame football program as they go out and hire Penn State running backs coach Jawan Seider, bringing him over to Notre Dame. And this is we're sitting here February 9th, 2025. If you wanted to make the argument that Coach Jawan Seider is the best running backs coach in the country, I would not be the one that pushes back against you. You look at his track record and what he's done at Penn State the last couple of years, it's really next to none. And when we talk about position coach hires, we normally grade it out on two different categories, if you will. One, what do they do on the recruiting trail? Number two, what do they do from a player development standpoint? You look at Jawan Seider, I mean, he has attracted elite talent to Penn State and has developed that talent at an elite level. And you want to win national championships, you want a college football program to be operating at the highest level in the country. That's what this sport's about. You get the best talent out of high school, develop them at a high level. You do those two things at every single position group, you're going to be putting yourself in that national championship conversation. Jawan Seider has done that at Penn State the last couple of years. Now, I want to get into, okay, it's kind of a little bit of a side note. There's been some rumors, whispers, whatever you want to call it, in terms of Notre Dame being cheap, not going out and hiring an elite coaching staff around Marcus Freeman. It would beg to differ with this. I mean, you just poached, if arguably the best running backs coach, who was doing a very good job at Penn State, and brought him over to Notre Dame. I mean, if that is not selling out to create an elite coaching staff, I don't know what is. Now, I want to get into the background of Jawan Seider, what excites me the most about him coming to Notre Dame. Before we get into it, as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the Notre Dame fans. It's been really fun talking this football team the last couple of weeks. You know, some coaching hires, talking about where this team is going in 2025. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into this one. And let's start with what he does from a talent acquisition standpoint. You go to his all-time, and what really excites me about Jawan Seider as a recruiter, and you kind of follow this guy on the recruiting trail the last couple of years. Not only does he recruit elite running backs, guys like Nick Singleton, guys like Katron Allen, but he also helps out on the recruiting trail with a ton of other positions at a lot of different regions in the country. He's done a really good job in the Midwest. He's done a really good job in the DMV. He's also born and raised in Florida and spent a lot of time coaching high school football in the state of Florida as well. He's got ties to the state of Florida, and that's an interesting conversation to keep your eye out for, because you've seen Notre Dame go into the state of Florida and land some of the better players in that state. And a guy like Jawan Seider, whether it's a running back, whether it's players at other positions, is going to be an asset going into the state of Florida and recruiting that state. You start scrolling down the list, it is just elite talent. You'll see a lot of Pennsylvania, a lot of DMV in Virginia, and then a lot of in the state of Florida. That's what excites me the most, is what he does on the recruiting trail. It's arguably next to none. He's one of the best recruiters in all of college football, and it's not just running backs. He's going to help build this roster up from a lot of different spots. Now, the second conversation you have, and it's important to talk about player development too, right? It's one thing to bring a bunch of we see that with plenty of coaches that can connect with the youth really well, connect with high school kids, bring them to the program. All right, the next step is, can you develop those players and maximize what they are? I mean, look at what he's done with Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. And one really important thing to kind of keep your eye out for here is he just balanced Katron Allen and Nick Singleton exceptionally well for the last couple of years. Look, it's really hard to have two running back ones that would be running back ones in almost any other program in the country, keep them in the same room for a couple of years and keep them happy and maximize both of them. He's got a lot of experience balancing that kind of two or even maybe three-headed rushing attack. He's going to have to do that at Notre Dame too, with guys like Jeremiah Love and Price. And so him having that experience of, hey, how do I in-game manage 2 really good running backs, maybe even 3 really good running backs in Notre Dame standpoint, and kind of maximize all of them. That's important. And Jawan Seider showed that he can do a really good job doing that. I think the last thing I'll say here is this coaching staff's awesome for Marcus Freeman. You know, he a home run hire with Mike Denbrock. We saw that in the 2024 year. Joe Rudolph on the offensive line. I don't know if there's many. Was there a better offensive line coaching job in the country in 2024 than what we saw from Joe Rudolph with all the injuries that they had to endure and how many young cats they had to play and how much they had to develop these young guys really, really quickly, and having a Notre Dame offensive line that played much better than anybody expected in the 2024 year? Is there anyone better than Jawan Seider at the running backs coach spot? Then you look at the defensive side of the football, Al Washington, Mike Mickens. I mean, these are some of the best assistant coaches that you see in the country. It's not always going to make headlines. You know, college football, a lot of us talk about, personnel. We talk about high school recruiting trail. We talk about the transfer portal. We say this all the time. What does coaches like Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, some of the best coaches in all of college football the last decade, what do they all have in common? They hire elite staffs around them. I look at the coaching staff that Marcus Freeman is building with Notre Dame, and you're saying it's becoming one of the best staffs in the country. You're getting it going on the recruiting trail. You have an elite coaching staff in place led by Marcus Freeman, who you all know I have a ton of confidence with. We're starting to check a lot of boxes in terms of what this Notre Dame program and how they're operating going into 2025. Now you got to figure out that front office. With Chad Bowden going to USC, I think Marcus Freeman will do that. If you can do that, the future of this Notre Dame football program is extremely bright. We'll close it out there. There's no other way to describe it than just a home run hire here with Jawan Seider coming in. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.